What's up, YouTube? It's Unruly with the Omen Squad, bringing you another video. And this video is awesome. Well, because, you know, it's a video I've always wanted to make, and it's how I pick my mains and how you should pick your main, right? I'm telling you how to do it. Pick top tier. No, that's not it. Especially if you're kind of new in the fighting game, not even where, almost like depends. Like if you're like me, I'm like casual, competitive, and and there's pro. I'm like, it's like right there. But anyways, you want to learn the deep dark secrets on how I pick my main. It's actually, yes, it involves a lot of deep dark secrets, and I'm going to give away my fighting game mains in the past and how I picked them in the past and how now I pick them now when I pick up a fighting game. But we're going to start it way back. And we're going all the way back to Mortal Kombat 1. Mortal Kombat 1, Sub-Zero. Why did I pick Sub-Zero? Because he was blue. Blue was my favorite color. He was a ninja. He had ice powers. I like the fact that he had ice powers that can freeze you. And he had the coolest fatality in the game, in my opinion. In Mortal Kombat 1, that spine rip. I had to pick him. Fast forward a little bit to Mortal Kombat 2. I went with Sub-Zero again. And it changed a little bit, like maybe Jax if I wanted to speed run. But if I wanted to save my quarter and I wanted to fight somebody, I picked Sub-Zero. Why? Because he had a pretty good setup with the ice, with the ground ice. You can, freeze them, sweep them, ground ice, back roundhouse. Later on in the game, I actually just started picking Shang Tsung because I knew all the transformations, and I was pretty nasty with Shang Tsung. Fast forward to Mortal Kombat 3, not just Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I picked, I wasn't crazy about the Sub-Zero design this time, and actually that's where I changed, and I went to Cyrax because I thought the robots were cool, and I always liked the characters that kind of had the setup, right? I threw the net, I trapped you, it was my turn. And I think Sub-Zero's ice, I wasn't a big fan of it. And, Ice Clone was pretty cool. But yeah, I wasn't crazy. That's one of the first times I switched, and then I went to Cyrax. Then later on, when Smoke came out, 100% Smoke, and Smoke was fantastic. He just fit he was very aggressive play style, devastating combo, had the chest hook, was just super awesome. So I had to go with Smoke. And when I was a kid, I was kind of aggressive with Smoke, and it was pretty awesome. I could turn invisible, do crazy combos. I used him to speed run and just basically get to the end of the arcade. A few years go by, or a year or something later on goes by, and Ultimate Mortal Kombat comes out. I was Smoke until some guy called Steve, Infinite SGE, at a liquor store, showed me the magic of human Smoke, and Steve was showing me all the combos, and I'm like, god dang. So I played in UMK. I played human Smoke. So yeah, human Smoke. Actually, Nightwolf, because he had a disgusting combo, and Kano. Actually, those were like kind of my mains that I played at the time when I was a kid. And like some people used to get mad at me for doing the same combo with Kano, but the combo was sick. Little boom air launcher, jump kick, air throw. I thought it was awesome. Or do the run combo, lock you in the air, punch, shing. But those were my mains, and those felt most comfortable to me. I liked doing their combos. Jax at the time had an incredibly difficult combo in there, and that's when I first started picking mains that started feeling comfortable to me. And I would want it to play Jax, but his combo is insanely hard. It had some blocks in there, and it was like, ooh, okay, this combo is a bit tough. And so we move on. Let's see what game should we move on to. Tekken. And first time I ever played Tekken, I played Tekken 1, I was like, hey, it's okay, not for me. I saw Tekken 2, and it was a huge update, and it was like super sick. I was at a donut shop, and I played Law, and I saw Law, and he did the the throw where he does the backflip on you. He runs up and does the backflip. I was like, yo, that is so sick. That is the sickest throw I've ever seen. And I just wanted to put people in it. So I was like, damn, Law's cool. And then I remember seeing Tekken 3. The very first place I saw Tekken 3 was in Las Vegas at the Treasure Island. And the first person I actually picked was Law. All right, I barely knew about Eddie. There were some articles about him. But then I saw Law, I was like, dang, that's cool. Like his stance was even more. And then I'm like, wait, who's this guy? You know, this guy. And I picked Eddie Gordo and I'm like, fell in love instantly. And I'm like, oh my gosh, right? I thought Law's stance was cool. And then you see Eddie. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in love. I'm in love. What can I say? And luckily, you know, of course, people just say, hey, you mash the kick buttons, right? And that's not what I wanted to do. My buddy Chavez got the Tekken Bible, which is the Tekken 3 strategy guide, which is probably the greatest fighting game strategy guide of all time, is the Tekken 3. This thing was amazing. Had some of the best just bread and butter combos, your best, you know, your 10 best moves that you should use with that character. And I learned Eddie. But with that, you know, playing with my buddy Chavez, he had that guide. And I was like, oh, yeah. He taught me Nina. And Nina just felt fantastic. So in Tekken 3, I had Eddie and Nina. And that moved over to Tekken Tag. But yeah. But Nina she feels good. She felt good in my hands. And I think that's almost like the thing. The character's got to feel good in your hands. It doesn't matter top tier or not. It doesn't matter, like, no matter where you're almost at your level, right? I mean, if you're competitive and you're doing it professionally, that is like 0.5% of the FGC. 0.5% of the FGC are doing this professionally and, you know, out there getting money, right? But you shouldn't just really have to just go for the top tier. If the top tier character happens to feel good in your hands, then go for it, right? But so going back with that, like Nina just felt comfortable. Her combos, she has combos that you could do from Tekken 3 to this day. And I loved her because she was a little bit more technical than Eddie. And sometimes if I lost my Eddie, my Nina would come up and clean house because, man, she felt great. She had fast jabs, great normals, good launcher, good sidestep, backhand into all this stuff. And that strategy guide. Mwah. And then eventually a little later on, I picked up a King. I picked up King and Jack. And those were just kind of side characters because they also felt comfortable. And, you know, like I said, the Mishimas don't feel comfortable to me. They're very difficult. And I just want a character that I can mesh with, right? I want a character that I start pushing buttons. I'm like, okay, this feels good. This feels good. And that started to kind of grow and grow. But let's see, what else can we say? Maybe like in the Alpha series, right? I used to always play Shotos. And I just got kind of tired of Shotos because Shotos feel like if you had a character stat from 1 to 10 and you put every stat right in the middle. And Shotos just kind of came a little boring to me. So I started learning Zangief. It was way difficult to learn doing the 360s. And but it was fun. I was having a lot more fun with Zangief because it felt like a challenge. But when you hit somebody with an Atomic Buster, oh, that was good. And that transitioned over to CVS2. And CVS2, Zangief, and Zangief with the roll. Oh my God, the roll. Somebody does a fireball, roll, turn the butter, grab, and man. So I had Zangief. Later on, I gotta admit, in one I used Benimaru. I like Benimaru. I like King in one. They were fantastic in CVS 1. Then CVS 2, I became a Dirty Blanca player. Hey, don't at me. He was comfortable. Of course, he was comfortable because he was some of the best normals in Street Fighter history. Was in the CVS 2. So CVS 2, Blanca, and Zangief. But then shout out to that guy Steve I told you about. Remember I told you about some guy named I met Steve. Then later on, me and him used to go hammers as my Zangief and his Ryu. We just go to like conventions or arcades, and like if I mess up, he clean up. If somehow he messed up, I'll go clean up with my Zangief. Those were good times. We played just like level 2 Zangief, level 2 Ryu. But as we can see, some of my themes. Let's go over to Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur. I liked Voldo. Voldo, almost since day one, was like, since I ever started playing Soul Calibur, I'm like, I like him. He's weird, but also comfortable, but weird. And, you know, and it's just really funny. And sometimes and that's another thing. Sometimes you see a character and you want to use them and they feel good, and that's a good feeling, right? Let's see, Ivy. I learned Ivy later. She was very difficult, but then I learned a couple of good combos. And once I learned those combos, I'm like, oh yeah, it's on. And let's see, I had Raphael. Raphael was great. Raphael had a nice parry. That was really cool, and that I liked a lot. I liked his play style and so forth. Zasalamel was a character that I saw. I'm like, oh my gosh. And he didn't click with me. And one of the other times that happened to me was in Tekken, when they first released Raven. Me and this guy, I'm telling this guy, Steve, you may or may not know him, but we're at E3 and we see posters for Raven. And me and Steve went, oh, like, yo, it's just Wesley Snipes. It's Blade. Look at that. That's Blade. Yo, we love it. And I wanted to play Master Raven so bad, but just something about the way he played was a little difficult to me, and it makes me sad. And you know, maybe that's my thing, but when I play a fighting game, I kind of like to hit the ground running. I kind of like to hit a character and they start connecting with me, right? And that's maybe me being a little lazy, maybe, right? Because, you know, maybe it's like, man, I'm tired of losing. But Raven, something in him felt a little difficult, felt a little off. Maybe his combo structure, the way he does his combos. I'd like to come back and maybe learn Raven and Master Raven, because stunning characters, amazing characters. But going back, we're going to go ahead to MKX, or MK9, and how I picked my main characters there. And how I picked my main was the Mortal Kombat truck, where they had the demo, and we played the demo, and Melina was on there, and I tried everyone else. And I tried Melina, and man, Melina me and her just connected. She was fantastic. She fit my play style. I'm very terrible at defense. I will just, you know what? I'm like, hey, I'm just going to go out. I'm just going to go all in. And so with Melina, she worked. You know, she had her overhead, which was amazing. And another thing why I picked her is she didn't require almost any meter to do any cool combos. And that's what I like. That's in an MK, that's what I was always looking for. I'm like, okay, let me see this person's combo. How comfortable do they feel? And I'm like, wow, she felt great in MK9. I didn't have to do a lot of meter management. I just saved my meter for mostly breaking and, you know, sometimes an EX, but she felt fantastic because she was a monster. I loved her overhead to open people up. I'm very bad at reaction, so a roll to punish. Melina taught me how to be a bad or a worse fighting game character. I'll be real. Because I did not punish with like buttons. Oh, you done goofed? Roll. And I think that's why I'm really bad at MK11, because I was just used to the roll. And now in MK11, Melina requires meter to punish with the roll. And I'm like, oh, I can't. I'm not going to be able to do it. Can you do it? I'm not going to be able to do it. Shout out to the peeps who know that song. But we're going to go to MKX. And Melina felt very similar. I'm not going to lie, I did have a bit of a character crisis because Melina's overhead in MK9 was so good. Her down forward was so good. And she lost those things. She had one of the worst overheads in the game. It was so slow and so predictable. And, you know, people would see it a mile away. So I ended up going to Devora, and I was at my earliest days, I was going back and forth between Devora and Melina until I just settled back to Melina, just figuring out other things other than her, her forward 4 overhead. She had other mix options available, which I ended up learning. But Melina, again, just felt very comfortable once I got past that part. But, I was kind of nasty with Devora. But Melina felt great. Again, to my play style, very offensive, very ride or die. I'm going to live by the role. I'm going to die by the role. And very rush down. And another thing in an MKX, I didn't want any characters that required a lot of meter to do combos. And I did not want characters that had run combos. Because at the beginning of the game, the online wasn't great. So trying to do a run combo, and your character's main combos had to be run combos, I'm like, that's out of the picture. One, that's too hard. I don't really want to take the time to learn. I am probably the slowest of learning combos out of all of your video games. Max will learn a combo in about 15 minutes. What it'll take Max 15 minutes will take me about 2 to 3 hours. That's being generous on me. That's just the way it is. And that's how I select my characters. I go in there and I look at their combos and I look at the bread and butters. And if I have trouble just pulling off their bread and butter, that character is kind of not for me. So, and that's how I got to Melina and MKX. There was Ferritor. Ferritor was just for fun. I have a terrible Ferritor. I still don't barely know what to do. I have a Jason, but Jason is brain dead. Overhead low, some pokes and stuff. Then I started playing Sonya, and I'm like, damn, Sonya's kind of nice. It's kind of fun. She's just kind of like I play when I see somebody with not a great win record. But Sonya's a lot of fun. Some good pressure, good stuff, like good mix, and plays the way I like. And Sonya's pretty nasty. But then we got to MK11, and that's where I had a bit of a problem. It wasn't a very combo heavy game. It was very grounded, very footsie based. So I had a problem. And there was one character that I get a free pop up with this combo so I can do good damage. And that was Scarlet. And but the problem is her kind of normals were slow. But the thing is, she could fight you from long range. The footsie game for me was just, I don't have a problem admitting it was just bad. So I picked Scarlet. She's got great zone options, good mid range. She gets eaten up by pro players because she has so many gaps in her system. But for that game, it was just difficult. It was like I picked some other people. I tried to pick Jackie. I was getting eaten alive, even though Jackie's kind of crazy. So I needed some characters that can reset the game and be in the middle. I have Sub-Zero, but everybody has Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero and his nasty mix. And then came Melina. She came out. And she was so drastically different from the previous 2 Melinas that I could not play her. And Melina is one of my favorite Mortal Kombat characters in MK. And Melina didn't start off as my favorite character. And I think what happens is you find your main. Your main connects with you, and then you connect with said character, right? Sometimes you want that character, and you want to be good with them, and they don't connect with you, and it's just like, ugh. Do you want to struggle and get through it? You can. But that's how Melina became my waifu for kind of laifu. But, many people are like, oh man, I've always liked her. I've always liked that she was the evil sister and she was cool and she very much grew on me. But when it came to MK11, it was very, very rough. Her normals, everything was so she had no reach. And in a game where characters' normals are lunging forward, crazy reach, she has to work so hard. And I'm not that good. I know I have to play characters that go for my strengths. I can't go with characters that, of course, could I challenge myself and probably get better? I could. That takes a lot of time. And I just kind of like to start going, playing, and having good matches, right? So you could be like me and go with it comfortable, or you want to stick through and really learn, you can. But Melina was just tough. And then the fact that I meter burn her telekick, it doesn't lead to a combo, hurt my soul. the fact that her a roll doesn't lead to a combo, I have to meter burn it, hurt my soul. And it was tough. It was tough. Melina was this combo heavy, super rush down, nasty character, and she seemed like very limited in MK 11. Now, that's not saying that she's not good, because there's Tweety, and the dude just destroys people with her. And it's like cool, but I just chose not to struggle with that character because I love her now. I love her, so I just don't want to struggle. I struggle enough with that game, so I need some characters that I can at least compete with. And at the end of the day, too, like that's how you should just kind of pick your characters that flow and that feel good to you. And just to, like, depends. Like, right, if you want to work your butt off and get good with a character that maybe you're having a hard time with, more power to you. You got a couple of options, but for me, the character's got to be comfortable. They got to feel good in my hands when I'm pushing the buttons. When I was playing DNF Duel, I wanted to play Grappler, and his combos weren't that hard, but he had a combo where he had to hold the button and charge it for a second, and it was just foreign to me, and I couldn't do it. So I kind of had to let Grappler go. I mean, granted there's some smaller bread and butters that I could do, but I'm like, I need to do that damage. And since I was having so much problem with it, I was like, I tried Inquisitor or, Jesus Man, and Jesus Man started clicking. They showed me, hey, this is what you do, and I'm like, oh my God, Jesus Christ! I was just, and he felt fantastic. Kunoichi, she's great. I love her because she kind of reminds me of Melina. She's got great rush down. She's fast. I can kind of run in, or I can kind of go back and reset neutral and throw some kunais and okay, let me chill for a little bit, and then kind of rush you down and control the space. So Kunoichi and Inquisitor or Jesus Christ. Well, those are my two mains for DNF Duel. And at the end of the day, guys, get in there and whatever's most comfortable, right? Like I said, if you go in a game like, hey Kenny, who's the most top tier? Who should I play? And I'm like, if you're new to a game, that's going to mean nothing to you. A lot of times people are like, hey, who's an easy character to pick up? And that's a good question, right? Like in MK, when you're like looking for a good character to pick up, Scorpion. Scorpion's always like, hey, just kind of, you can pick him up and start doing stuff, and he works out great. But yeah, like what other mains do I have like across fighting games? We talked about Tekken and Soul Calibur, Street Fighter, even with Zangief in 5, I really fell in love with Laura. Laura was awesome, and Laura was really cool because she was a grappler, but she was also kind of an in-your-face character, and it was to me it was a fun grappler. And I messed with Laura for a little bit, and Laura was really cool when I used to play Street Fighter 5, and I really dug her, and I kind of, and she fit. I was able to kind of hit the ground running and see what I can do. And Marvel vs. Capcom 2, man, I just went. The only high tier character I really used was Cable, because I learned the Cable hops. But Marvel 2 execution was crazy. I did not have the execution to pull off some Magneto stuff. I tried and I was almost there, but I could not pull it off consistently. And I just need characters that I can pull stuff off consistently. So I played like a mid-tier team. I had Cable, I had Psylocke, and I had Cyclops. And those were like, okay, I'm going to try to compete. And, they were good for like, I'd get kind of waxed at Family Fun, but I go to other places, like I go to Vegas and, slap some people. But anyways, guys, that's been my topic on how to pick your main, how to pick my main. At the end of the day, picking your main should be somebody that you're comfortable with, somebody that that you just kind of mesh with and so forth like that. You shouldn't really be looking like a top tier I mean, hey, I mean, if you get to that, yeah, sure. But and here's like an example, right? Cetrion is top tier in MK11. So great, like in top tier in all the tournaments and all that stuff, and people hate seeing her in tournaments. You barely see her online. If people were top tier pickers all the time, they would be picking Cetrion. You rarely see Cetrions online, right? Everybody would be picking Cetrion, right? When you see the most, Scorpion. Scorpion's easy to pick up, learn some cheesy stuff, and you hit the floor running. You see Scorpions more than anything in MK because, you know, they designed it to be a character that's easy to pick up. So, you know, my advice is find a character that connects with you when you start hitting those buttons, and then they become your favorite. Then they become, you know, who you're known for, right? Smash? I suck at Smash. Why do you think I'm a Chaos Lord? I pick Chaos characters because I'm terrible at Smash. I'll admit it. I play for funsies. And so you know what? Hey, I'm trash. I'm gonna be a Chaos Lord. I'm gonna hit you from across the screen and throw stuff and annoy you until you're angry, until you fight bad. But anyways, guys, like I said, go with your heart. Whatever feels comfortable. That's how I've picked my characters for quite some time. And let me know in the comments your mains. How'd you pick them? Let's start this conversation because I read those comments. But anyways, guys, thank you guys for watching. And as always,